What's up, guys? Good afternoon. Figured today we'd have a discussion about liberty. Liberty, man, it's a huge topic right now. It has been for a long time, and I think it'll continue to stay a huge topic. So what is it? And what are we trying to get liberty from? What are we trying to get liberty of? Normally the context is talking about liberty from some government that you don't like or disagree with. But there's liberty from organizations. Maybe there's liberty from a HOA that you live in, right? The child, the rebellious child, spends their entire childhood trying to get liberty from their parents so they can move out on their own. The Bible says that the borrower is slave to the lender. Liberty from financial obligations. Liberty from debt. They're all good points, and they're all important. Don't get me wrong, they're all important. And we're going to discuss all those. And the path to liberty is not complicated. I didn't say it's easy, but it's certainly not complicated. It's fairly simple to get there, right? It doesn't take a genius to figure out how to do it. But there is a little bit of an inconvenient truth about liberty that most of us don't want to confess to, right? In order for whatever you're trying to get liberty from, they have to have some form of control on you. So if you want them, who's them? I don't know. Pick who you want them to be. Them, they, the big they, as Bear says, right? So if you want them to do less, then you have to do more. That's it. That's the only secret to it, right? If you want to overthrow a system, you don't do it with arms, battles, bombs and planes and tanks, but you do it by rendering it obsolete. Nobody took up arms against the Yellow Pages, right? Nobody went down there and stood in front of the Yellow Pages in the back of the phone book and protested them. They're not of any use today. Why? It's because they're obsolete. And the same thing could be done for anything. If it's a job that you are dependent on, if it's your government, right? If it's an overpowering person in your life, doesn't matter. The path is the same. You have to put forth the work to render that obsolete. Well, what the hell does that mean, right? How do you render a government obsolete? Well, it's not done just in one step, right? But there's certain ways you can do it. You don't like to pay tax on your food at the grocery store. Oh, but it's a non-taxable whatever. Okay, yeah, I get that, right? But that bell pepper is grown probably somewhere in California, right? The farmer pays tax on the land, pays tax on the seed, pays tax on the fertilizer, pays tax on the water, and pays tax on the labor. When it's harvested, there's tax that's paid to the USDA to oversee it. There's tax that's paid to the IRS. You got to kick up 10% to the big guy, right? How many times does that 10% get kicked up? It's taken to market and sold. Then it's paid tax on the profits, right? When that is sold from the warehouse or the distributor, it's sent on a highway system and trucked across the nation. How much tax went into the diesel? All of the labor that took it to get it on that truck. The permits. All of that stuff, right? It gets to your grocery store where you buy it with money that you've already paid tax on. You've already paid an income tax on that. You go in, you pay federal, state tax again. The store owner pays tax. All of this government control, the USDA, I'm not even going to try to list all of the different theys, members of the big they, to get their cut of your bell pepper just because you wanted to make a fajita, right? But imagine this. Instead of doing all that, you take that bell pepper, that same bell pepper, and instead of buying it from the store, you bought it by putting seeds in the ground. $5. You spent $5. You put some seeds in the ground. And everything after that, you get to keep 100% of your labor. How much of your labor at your job do you keep? Well, I make $30 an hour. Well, a third of that goes, it's much more than a third. It's closer to 50%. It's kicked up to the big guy, right? It's kicked up to the gasoline that has to go in your truck to get you to work. But if you can take that one thing and take control of it yourself, if you want them to do less, you have to do more. Grow that bell pepper yourself. It goes further than that. We're just talking about bell peppers. What else can you take control of in your own life, right? Healthcare. Let's just pretend for a minute that we wanted to fix that. Well, we don't fix it by tackling the big government, right? Well, come on, man, just vote a little harder. Just vote harder next time. If you still believe in that system, man, I don't know what to tell you. But proper diet, exercise, just living a general healthy life, right? Are you drinking a 12-pack of beer every night? Are you drinking an entire bottle of Jack Daniels? What are some changes in your life that you can make? You know, instead of buying full 1-liter bottles of Coke or Dr. Pepper, what if you just bought cans? And instead of your serving being half of that bottle of Coke or, you know, whatever, you just drink the can, right? We're doing things to improve our health. It decreases our dependence on outside health care. Almost all, I'm not going to say almost all, but a huge majority of the cases of diabetes are diet and exercise related. So just by doing a little bit more, how much liberty can that give you from drug companies, insurance companies? You know, the doctor you see is probably a pretty good guy, you know, but either way, he still takes up our time and our money. If you want them to do less, it means you have to do more, right? You don't like the way that the city that you're living in is going, right? You don't like the stupid laws, the stupid restrictions. You know, in a lot of cities and even states, it's illegal to harvest the rain. The city that our address is in, which is Amarillo, Texas, we don't live in Amarillo, but that's where our address is. It's listed as Amarillo. Over in town, it's actually illegal to use harvested rainwater for drinking purposes. You're kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. It's illegal to use the rain. Some places it's even illegal to catch it, to use it for, you know, your yard or your groceries. It's illegal to harvest the rain to water your dog in many states, right? How do we render that obsolete? Where you can have some chickens in your backyard, where you can have some water harvested right from the air, right from the sky, just comes right down, you know? Well, it's getting out of where the problem is. But my job and yeah, I get it, you know. Not everybody can just pick up and move. At least not do that and keep their current situation, right? Sacrifices have to be made with everything we do in life. But then again, we come against the same thing. If you want them to do less, then you have to do more. How much more are you willing to do, right? And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things that they claim to be able to do that they don't have not the slightest ability to do, right? Our safety. They want us to leave our physical safety. If somebody breaks in our house, an armed intruder breaks in our house, and we have really no option to be able to flee or get away from that, what are they telling us to do? What are they telling you to do? They're telling you, you have to wait the minimum of 10 minutes for a guy with a badge to come and show up. They're not even capable of doing the things that we ask them to do, and they tell us that they can do. So therefore we have to do more, right? If you don't want somebody in your house, the ultimate answer isn't, just calling the police and having cameras and having a good firearm and going and getting the training. But it's also making your house look like it doesn't want to be a place that needs to be broke into, right? No, that's not just, living a private life. But is your house hard to break into? The detectives, whenever they take over your case, whenever you call and report that you were broke into and you were robbed, maybe you weren't even there, they're going to work hard, right? As hard as they can justify, because they've got a whole lot bigger fish to fry than Billy Bob down the road got his trailer broke into. So that means you have to do more. And if you do spend enough time doing more, that detective doesn't do a damn thing. And that's the way it should be, right? We're not going to vote our way out of the situation that we're in. Don't you think that would have happened by now? If you're still believing in that broken system, I don't know. I'm not going to change your mind at this point. If you haven't figured it out by this point, I don't know what to tell you. You can't, just vote harder. I've been voting as hard as I can, And does that say elections don't matter? Well, no. But you need to realize what you're getting whenever you vote for somebody in an election. The instant any person is elected as president of the United States, their wife or husband, depending on what they are, their family, their children are instantly hated to the point of their lives being in danger for the rest of their life by 50% of the country. Those children will never be able to live normal lives ever again. They'll spend the rest of their lives will be lived out under Secret Service protection because they're truly in danger of being assassinated 25 years after their parent is no longer president, right? What kind of man would intentionally put their family through that? What kind of person, what kind of low-life scum do you have to be to do that to your own family? Just the sheer fact that somebody was willing to do that to their own family automatically proves to me that they're not worthy of getting a vote. Right? Am I onto something there? Stop and think about it. Anybody that would be willing to take that position, regardless of whether they're wanting to do good or bad, I wouldn't do that to my family. I'm willing to bet you wouldn't do that to your family. Would you? Maybe you would. Maybe I'm wrong. But in my eyes, any person, any parent, any spouse that would do that to the ones that they love the most is absolute scum. Complete scum, right? Congress, not quite as bad as president. But there's no getting around the fact that the laws that they pass are for them, right? Why do big business, big, huge corporations get so many tax cuts? It's because the people who make the laws are using them too, right? Anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole, but keep in mind, you can sit here and talk about we need to take the country back. Well, what do you mean by that? Have you actually thought about what that means? Because voting certainly ain't going to do it, right? There's no way you're going to get there by voting your way into it. How do you do it? It starts with you. It starts with me. I have to take control of my life. I have to do more for my life. And with that, it opens up my wife a little bit, that liberty to do more with her life, my children, right? Then my satellite family, my extended family, the family that doesn't live in my house, my circle of friends. Move that out to the network of people that I interact with, right? If you happen to be watching this and you've got a big following on social media, your diehard followers are part of your social network. You're influencing them. They call you a social media influencer for a reason. Small groups of people affect neighborhoods. Neighborhoods affect municipalities and counties, regions, states. Then regions of the country, the South, the Northeast, all the way up until we finally get to a federal level. But I'll be honest with you, the small forgotten holler in West Virginia, is their life really affected that much by what's going on in DC? What about the guy in West Texas that lives outside of a small town in the middle of nowhere? Maybe he's off grid. How much are these regulations affecting him? You know what the difference is? They wanted them to do less, so they started to do more. See what you can do about that. And let me know. Tell me. I'm interested to hear. I learn a lot from you guys. So what are you doing more of to make sure that they do less? With that said, you guys be safe.